So what's the story? Is it really okay to run ethanol fuel in your small air-cooled engine, or do you need to keep a supply of carburetors on the shelf at all time because it's just going to destroy them if you do? Well, like most things, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Stick around. We're going to talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to B&B Farms, where our goal is to try and live with our land and not just on it. Today we're going to talk about ethanol or alcohol in your gasoline. Good, bad, well, let's get into it. First off, a little bit about myself. I used to be involved in the outdoor power equipment field, owned my own business. I was certified through Briggs & Stratton as a master service technician, and I was certified through Kohler Engines as an expert service technician. So I've got a little bit of input, on this subject firsthand. I will tell you this, all the major engine manufacturers, whether it be Honda, Kawasaki, Briggs & Stratton, Kohler, whoever they are, they're all going to recommend pretty much the exact same thing. They're going to tell you to use a minimum octane of 87 and a maximum alcohol content of 10%. This engine behind me here, this Kohler CH14, was built to run on alcohol fuel. And by that, I mean gasoline that contains a maximum of 10% alcohol. Should it run on it? Yep. Should run just fine on it. Does it run just fine on it? Yep. I think before we get too deep into this, we'll do a little experiment. This sawmill hasn't run since, I think it was the second week of August. It's been sitting here all this time, hot, cold, same fuels in the gas tank that was when I shut it off the last time. Let's see if it'll start up, see how it runs after August, September, October, November, December, almost 5 months sitting here without being run with that 10% ethanol fuel in the tank. Let's see what happens. I am going to look inside the blade compartment. Might be a family of mice in there. Let's get them out of there before we fire it up. Nope, we're good. Don't have to evict anybody today. We'll tighten the blade up. That seems all right. Let's go ahead and see if it'll start. Go to full choke. Turn the fuel on. See how many pulls it takes here. There's 1, 2. Two pulls after setting almost 5 months with 5-month-old fuel in the gas tank. I can almost hear what you guys are thinking out there. Well, Tony, how do we know that fuel is not fresh? How do we know you didn't just put fuel in it? Well, you don't, other than the fact that I simply have no reason to lie about it. And here's something else. I don't run ethanol-free gas in any of my small engines. Now remember, this is coming from someone, who worked on thousands of them. I've never seen the need. I don't have any problems. My Kawasaki Mule, my lawnmowers, my chainsaws, leaf blowers, sawmills, anything I have that runs on an air-cooled engine runs on the exact same fuel, 87 octane, 10% ethanol. And I never have any problems. Now, did I see problems from other people when I was in the industry? Yep, sure did. Lots of carburetors that when you take the float bowl off, it's just a mass of a jelly-looking goo in there, or there's corrosion. The aluminum corrodes. You get that white powder, that aluminum. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I sure did. Can I lay that at the fault of 10% ethanol fuel? No. There's another part of this, and that's something that I didn't say, a minute ago. The same manufacturers also recommend that you keep fuel for a maximum of 30 days. I once had a representative from a very well-known engine company tell me that if the gas in my gas cans got to be 30 days old, to pour it in my car, not in his engine. So this belief that ethanol is detrimental to your small engine carburetors is widespread. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not warranted in some cases. But what I will tell you, and what I believe, is that many times complaints that are blamed or problems that arise are blamed on ethanol fuel are actually due to something else. Maybe that fuel in that can has sat there, long enough that it got rainwater in it. Alcohol is hygroscopic. It has an affinity for moisture. It attracts water. It will pull water out of the atmosphere on humid days. So if you're one of those people that wants to put fuel in your small engine and come back a year later and start it, like a generator. Generators probably suffer from bad fuel more than anything else because they spend most of their life sitting still, not getting used. The only time you start it is, when the power goes out. You run out, pull the rope, it won't start. Take it somewhere or take the carburetor apart yourself. It's full of junk. Man, that's bad gas. That's ethanol gas. Maybe you got some bad fuel, but maybe it's been 18 months since you ran the thing. I don't care what kind of fuel it is, if it has ethanol in it or not. Granddad's fuel from 1965, it's not going to burn like it did 18 months after he bought it. It's just the nature of it. So, if you want my recommendation, buy a maximum of 10% ethanol, keep it for 30 days, even though, again, you saw it, 5-month-old fuel, fired right up, ran fine, but I'll stick to what the manufacturer tells me to say. Keep your fuel 30 days and then pour it in your car. Your car has a sophisticated electronic fuel injection system and electronic engine management controls that can compensate for maybe a less than optimum fuel burn. Whereas our fixed throttle or our simple carburetor small engines, they can't do that. So I guess the next question would be, how do you know the fuel you bought? It says on the pump that it's got 10% ethanol in it. How do you know that it really has 10% ethanol in it? Well, I'll show you how to check. Here's how this works. We've got plain water, tap water in the gray cap. We've got 87 octane gasoline in the red cap, and this gasoline does, or supposedly has, 10% ethanol alcohol in it. We're going to find out. And in the center, we have a test vial. You can get these on Amazon. This one actually came from Briggs & Stratton back when I was a dealer. But it's graduated. I hope you guys can see that. It's graduated, got marks on it to tell us exactly how much alcohol really is in this gas. Here's how it works. We're going to unscrew it. We're going to fill to that bottom mark with the tap water. You guys see that? Tap water right to the bottom mark. And then we're going to fill with gasoline up to the top of the arrow. I see that? Probably not. We're going to put our cap on. We're going to shake it. Remembering that alcohol and water have an affinity for one another. They're going to combine. We're going to set that up there. I can already see it trying to delineate and make a definitive line there. We'll come back in a few minutes. We'll take a look at it, see what it says. All right. It's been long enough. We ought to be able to tell. Let's go out with a little more light. It's getting dark out here. Hopefully we can get this finished up. That shows up pretty good. You see that cloudiness up on top of the top part of the vial? That's the gasoline. The water is at the bottom, and that very defined line between the two is on 10%. Kind of hard to see. Maybe you can make it out. So there you go. There's no doubt that this gasoline really does contain 10%, ethanol alcohol. If you want to, verify your own gas, get yourself one of these test cylinders. There's nothing to it. You can check all the gas, make sure that you're putting in your small engine just what you should be putting in your small engine. Well, guys, I'm going to head to the house before I lose what's left of this light out here today. It's starting to get dark. I know this wasn't a very exciting video, but hopefully you learned a thing or two and found it informative. If you have any questions, drop us a line in the comments. We'll be sure and try and answer them for you. In the meantime, remember to get outside. It's good for you. You'll be a better person for it. Also, be nice to one another. The world is still a crazy place. Hadn't gotten much better. Be nice. It doesn't cost anything. Guys, we'll see you around here soon. We're going to be back in the maple woods making some maple syrup. We're going to be on this sawmill cutting some lumber. So we got some exciting things in the pipeline. Stick around. We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.